Before I jump in and get started, I have everybody has a purpose, and these are four of mine. My little guy, actually, it's so bad I updated Jayla's today, but my son is actually 5, 7. My oldest daughter, she turned 19 yesterday, and so I did catch that on the slide and updated that. She's out in LA and serving at the LA Dream Center, and so super excited for her and my wife Bree. But really, I spend my days now as the CEO and Chief Brand Officer at Mojo Up. We're a full-service marketing agency. We have an amazing team of creatives where we specialize in helping building people's brands. Two really lanes that we are. One is building personal brands that create the fastest way to grow and create money. But also we focus on working with small businesses to completely revamp their brand, develop those companies, and help them grow as well. And so today I'm going to be talking about this. When I think about having spoken to many agents, you think about numbers for a second, because this is going to be conceptual for us today. These are actually, I think these are 2019 numbers, or maybe, I can't think last time I updated this slide, probably 2019 numbers. To be top 5 in the greater Indianapolis area, you're talking about doing 7.2 million or 36 deals. Okay. And 36 deals, I think that's at an average of 200K. What I want you to think about as we're talking through things today is really about going, how do I get 3 deals a month? Now, if you're already doing 3 deals a month at 200K and you're doing 7.2 million, just think about, how do I do 3 more deals a month? How do I double that, right? Because we work with real estate agents and teams that are brand new. We work with those that are doing 70 million and everywhere in between. But conceptually, what we're talking about today, I want you to think about, what does that look like? Even if you drop down in top 10%, it's 24 deals a year. In the greater Indianapolis area, that's what MyBoard's data is telling us. And so if you're not there yet, or you don't know how to double your numbers like I just talked about, then this is going to set you up perfectly to have the right mindset to be able to accomplish that. We always talk about the customer or client journey. So if you think about buyers or sellers or investors that you're working with, one of the things you have to do is understand what is the journey that they're going through to ultimately get to the end to choose you, right? So there's 3 steps in this journey, and I'm gonna tag some other things around it a little bit later, but the first one is awareness. Right now, simply, there are people that aren't choosing you because they do not know you exist. They can't choose you because they don't know that you're even out there. So for some people, they have an awareness problem. Okay. For others that they know that you're out there, but you haven't really engaged them in a way that they will consider you for a hire. So think about that. Some people are out there, and you think about your own Facebook book of business, they're not really considering utilizing you because they don't really know who you are. They don't know what you do. They don't know how well you do it. They don't know why they should choose you. Other than having seen you stand at the closing room with a key and smile every so often, they really don't know your value. And so for some people, they have a consideration problem. And then the last group is some people, they have a decision problem. Meaning right now, today, you don't have enough people making a decision to yes, use you, or no, don't. Like, you got to get people on a daily basis to be going, yes, I'm choosing her, I'm choosing him, or I'm not. So if nobody's having a conversation today about choosing whether or not they want to work with you, you're losing. And so this customer journey starts with, for some people, increasing your awareness. For some people, really trying to put valuable stuff together so that people consider you. And for others, they're ready to make decisions on you. So what I'm going to map out in a most simple form today, and then open up for a lot of Q&A so you guys can have some real practical questions answered. That is, first of all, do you have a clear brand message? We're going to talk about what that really means to you. Second thing is, if you do, are you marketing that to the right potential client? Because here's what I have learned. If you have the right message to the wrong client, they still don't work with you. If you have the wrong message to the right client, they don't work with you. You got to get the right message to the right potential client. And the third thing is, are you delivering it to them where they consume it? If you think about just the generation gaps, if you think about how we all individually consume information, some of us would prefer to consume information text, some email, some Facebook, some LinkedIn, some Instagram, some Snapchat, and some still want a direct mail piece to look at. So the question really is do you have a clear message, marketed to the right person in the way that they want to consume it? And so we're going to unpack that here today. All right, so I want you to start rethinking in the terms of the next 90 days of your business. And I want to reframe, no matter where you are, how much production you've done, that in little as 90 days, you can rebuild your personal brand inside this company umbrella to put yourself in a position to be as successful as you've ever been for 2021. But I want to be clear, I have no magic wand. I have no easy button. Everything that I'm going to talk about means you got to put in work. You absolutely have to do the work. And if this information today for you is like, yeah, I get some of it, I don't understand all of it, then that's where you got to start your work through the educational process to figure out how do I grow and how do I develop this. Now, we have a process that we talk about all the time called our brand blueprint. And this is kind of the basis of what you have to consider in your business. 1, creating some clarity. 2, have a right marketing strategy. 3, the right collateral, the creative. And then 4, you got to be able to execute it. And let me just say, as a real estate agent right now, what we found is that this is a very difficult challenge for real estate agents that went, I just want to sell houses. Like I didn't get started to be a marketer or a salesperson. Like I just want to be in a house with somebody and helping them make their dream come true, warm and fuzzy, whether I'm buying, listing. I want to talk to that investor. I want to take them through that process. Well, this is what has to happen so that you can do that. At the end of the day, either you have to learn how to do that or you have to hire somebody that does that for you. But that's it. Those are your only 2 options. Either you gotta learn it and do it yourself, or you gotta hire somebody to do it. But somebody has to be able to put in the work. So let's start with thinking about right now in that customer journey. The goal for most people is to get referrals, right? I mean, that's what everybody wants. Like, I want referrals. And that's the good news is if you've worked to the point where now you're getting referrals, that's awesome. The bad news is the way that people go through the process now to still decide if they want to work with you is a validation process. So think about your own, right? If somebody refers me to buy a pool, and the first thing that I'm going to do is a referral. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start searching them, right? I'm going to go on and I'm going to search them out to validate. If Ed tells me like, hey, this is a good pool company, cool. I'm going to search them, and I just want to make sure that what I see is consistent with what he said, and I can validate them. Now watch this. Some people in here validate. Well, let me ask you this. How many of you that if you want to check somebody else out, the first place you go to is Google? Just curious. Anybody? So you're a Googler, okay? You're an Instagrammer, okay? Who's a Facebooker? We have our Facebookers, okay? Anybody LinkedIn? You want a business? Okay, nobody LinkedIn? Anybody go to YouTube to find out and watch them? YouTube? Okay. So here's the thing is that we all have a validation process. And it's going to be one of those areas. So the first question is if I go to validate you, what's your name, young lady? Yvette. If I get a referral to use you and I go to validate you in whichever one of those places that is mine, and here's the hard part, right? Everybody has their go-to spot that they start with first. And it's not all the same. So you have to think about if somebody goes to validate me, what do they see and what do they find? Okay? So one is we get referrals, but they still want to validate you. 2, people will search you directly in one of those different places. Or 3, you run some type of paid something to put yourself in front of somebody, but all of them will go through a validation process. So the first question you got to ask yourself is, if we looked at your personal brand, okay, and I'm going to separate that from the company for a second right now, your personal brand, your name is? Marquita. I got you with a mouthful right there. But if I went, because somebody referred me to you, and I went to look at your personal brand, here's the question you got to ask. Would I feel better about it? Like, yes, I mean, I really want to work with her. Or I'd be like, who's next? Think about that. Who's next? And here's the process that we normally go through, right? For some people, they'll Google, and they'll just start looking, and they'll start seeing, what does Google tell me about you right now, right? For some people, they're going to look at the photos. For some people, they're going to look at the reviews. For some people, they might look at the ads on there. They might look at videos. they're going to start going through this entire process to find out right now, do I believe that you're legitimate? And if I have to choose for somebody to represent me in this transaction for whatever dollar amount it is, am I confident with you? So that's the first question you got to ask. Most people don't even Google themselves. We do a process called a digital audit. We do that, and that's like the first time for a lot of people they're seeing what your potential clients are already seeing. So if I went to validate you, what do I find? What's your name, young lady? Mariah. Mariah, I'm going to guess. Now, I don't know. You've never met you, but your problem might be you love Instagram, so you don't really do anything on Facebook to make sure that you can be validated on Facebook or Google or the areas that you don't operate in. That's a pretty typical scenario. Maybe not yours, but where a lot of people are like, oh, I love Facebook. So what I do, my Facebook is dope. It's all put together, but then my Instagram is bad, or vice versa. You have to understand before we move on to anything else is that you got to put yourself in a position that your brand can speak for itself. And the truth is, for most of you, it's not your fault, because when you got into real estate and you went through and you got your real estate certification, they didn't teach you this piece. They taught you how to write a purchase agreement. They taught you how to do the basic functions that you have to have within that, but they didn't really walk through this thing right here. And most people still don't talk about personal brand. But let me clear up that, because for a lot of people, personal brand means different things. It's not your name, not your team name, your logo, your tagline, your head. It's not the stuff. It's really the message, the story. It's what your value proposition is. It's why you're doing it, and why does that matter to the end person. And the people that create the best personal brands win. It's just that simple. In today's environment, it's that simple. Now, for a lot of times when we work with real estate agents, especially the ones that have been doing it long and very successful, the reason why they're coming to us is we had a guy last year came to us, he did 70 million. He wasn't coming to us because he wasn't successful. He was coming to us because he realized what got him there was not going to get him to his next level. Because the way a lot of people got started in the business is just hustle and grind. I mean, I'm a hustle grind guy, right? We get in there, we hustle, we grind, we just do it, and we will it to victory. And then we hit a ceiling that realizes that some of these other things have to be in place for us to accomplish that. So really, I want you to think about personal brand is, what is your message? Okay? What is it that you offer somebody? What is your purpose behind it? What is your value proposition? If I'm going to choose between you and you both might be equally good real estate agents, but why am I going to work with you versus you? If we're not telling that story, if people don't know that information, then it's hard for them to choose. So we want to start dictating that. If you think about all the big brands that are out there, like we know these big brands based upon their logos. But if you think really about the brand of any of those, there's a story behind the logo. There's messaging. They want you to think a certain thing. They want you to feel a certain thing. Ultimately, what they want you to do is they want you to see that image and know that story. And that's all brand is. Now, let me just be transparent today. Most of you in this room, I'm guessing, I know E&E, this might be different for them, but don't have an extra $1 billion that you want to throw at branding. Because that's what they've all done, right? They put billions and billions of dollars so that you know what that swoosh means. You know what that symbol means. You know what that Starbucks look. They've spent billions of dollars to do that. Most of us are not going to be in a situation to do that. So we got to really focus on how do we take our message to our specific avatar, not to the world, but to our specific goal of a client, and make sure that they know really who we are, what it sounds like. I'm going to skip that slide because I added a new one in there. So I want to talk a little bit about brand clarity so you guys understand what I'm talking about, and think about in your world, what does this actually mean? So people throw around terms like brand purpose, right? Like, what do you want to see in the world? Why is real estate even important to you? And let me just take for a second, the one thing that we all can agree on, right, is the check, right? So there's a reason that some of us are in here, which we all right. There's a dollar amount at the end of it. I want to put that in the corner for a second and set it right there, because we all agree that there's a piece of it that's money, but there's also a piece that's not, because this isn't the only way that you can make money. It's not even the fastest way. You could argue whether it's the best way or the most long-term, but there's a purpose behind why you're doing it. And when I dig deep with most individual people about their personal brand, it's number one, their story around them buying a home or selling a home in the process, their home ownership, like what that meant to them. When they grew up, they didn't own a home. They rented and they're bouncing around, and now they want to provide that for other people. They realize that owning a home is one of the steps to get to and get through wealth. And so you have this burning desire to build that. So what is that? What's your vision for your own individual business? Like, what is it that you want it to be? When people think about choosing you, what do you want them to be talking about? These are the things that we want to talk through. One of the big ones right here is how do you do it differently? What's your system? What's your process? What are you taking people through? If I stopped everybody right now and I said, okay, you have to write down what your process is. First I do this, and then I do this, and then I walk them through here and I help them. Okay, then we package that up, and then we start telling people that's what we do. For a lot of agents that we've worked with, we could never convict them of actually having any type of brand messaging. Maybe a tagline or a slogan, maybe a team name, but a lot of times we miss that. And so I want to challenge you, if you're taking notes to write down, going, what's the purpose? Why am I doing this? What am I offering to people? And remind you, if you're saying I'm a buyer's agent, I'm a seller's agent, I'm an investor's agent, okay. But what are you doing inside of that gets people that want to raise your hand? Because if you do this right, here's the best news. You're going to repel a certain amount of people that will never want to work with you. They're not. And let me tell you, that's okay. Why? Because you need 36. Remember how we started this? You need 36 at 200K for 7.2 million. I mean, that's a couple $100,000 in GCI. 36. So you don't have to market to the world. You don't have to market to everyone. You don't have to have a one-size-fits-all. It's okay to say, here's who I really work with. And here's the message that I'm putting out there. And if people don't want to work with that, that's okay. So one of the best things that you can do is figure out, who do I really want to work with? And then I make sure my message is set for them. Because once I do that, I start looking at what we call the avatar, right? Is I want to get dialed in. I want to know that person as well as possible. What's their age range? Are they married? Are they parents? Are they college educated? Are they business owners? What is their income range? What do they watch? What is their preferred social media? What do they drive? Like, what pain can we solve for them? What benefits do we have? Like, these are the questions that I'm asking right now, going, who is that? Because if I can figure that out right there, then my message will start to match. So let me pause for a second, because this is where the part of the presentation where people start going, okay, it's starting to get a lot to think about. But if you take the last 5 people that you worked with, the last 10 people you worked with, the last people you worked with in 2020 or 2019, you go, who do I just love working with? Who do I, at the end of the day, go like, this person, yep, it was a check. But this person was like, man, I wanted to work with them. I wanted to go the extra mile. I wanted to call that agent. I wanted to make that happen. I wanted to dig a little bit deeper. And when it happened for them, I felt so good about it. Like the joy in me because I was able to help that person. That's a starting point to figure that person out. Who do you connect with? Like, there are certain people that are easier for you to connect with, right? Because think about this. If I bring in 36 people, line them up right here for you, and I say, what's your name again? Shalonda? Shalonda, here's 36 people right here. You get to pick who you want to work with. Why not pick the ones that you're going to enjoy working with? The ones that you know that are going to appreciate what you do for them, that you're going to be able to help walk them through the process. Because there's some people that aren't going to appreciate and respect you. What you want to try to get to in a business perspective is I get to pick and choose who we work with. Like we actually will fire clients. Like if we missed it up front because we didn't do a good job at that. We were taking on people, anybody. Now it's like, this isn't a good fit. And being okay with that. Pass them on to somebody else on your team. As they're like going, hey, hold on, don't be telling them not to take any business now. Come on now. That's a line on the spreadsheet. Just somebody else will gladly work with that person based upon that, and you go get to work with the 36 that you want to. That's all I'm saying. But if nothing else, when you walk out of here today, what I want you to think about is going, do I even have an avatar? Do I have a group that I know that my message is going to be great for? Like at our company, we've dialed that into, like we know that our clients need to be small business owners, brick and mortar, doing between about 300 and 3 million in revenue. And when we get to that spot, that's a sweet spot. We know we can help them. We know that if they're not doing that much revenue, then they struggle because our pricing we're priced out of the market for them. And once we get bigger than that, the process that it takes to go through, they become not really a great fit. Now, watch this. We do work with clients that do not create that much revenue. And we do work with clients that have created more revenue than that. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that's our sweet spot. And that's where we want to live, market, spend our money, invest our time and energy to get to. So the question really is who's your avatar? Okay. So Vonna, one of the asks of them after today is going to be, who is your avatar? And what message do we want them to know? Like if you get one thing, so let's just say I'm your avatar, I'm that 44-year-old guy that fits some of those brackets. That's who you want to work with, right? My question for you then, when you think about messaging, you go, if I get to stand up and tell that guy one thing that's going to help him decide to work with me, what would I tell him? What would I say? Hey, work with me. Here's who I am and here's what I do. What would that look like? What would that sound like? Okay. Because here's the thing. Let's just say if you took that character and you flipped it into a female that was the same age, the message might just be different. You take that into a couple, it might be different. You take that into a 65-year-old, a 25-year-old, the message might be different based upon who they are. If they're on the east side of town versus the west side of town versus downtown versus deep in the suburbs versus, an hour out into the country, that message might be different. See, a lot of people miss that aspect of marketing is the message has to meet this avatar right here. Now you think about, okay, my message, I got to think about who I'm going to. Now, what type of content do I want to provide to them? The number one type of content that you should consider today is video content. Right? It has the highest open rates. It's the highest amount of consumed content online is video content. When I get a little bit stern, sometimes I say, if you're not doing video, just stop marketing. Because the rest of it is such a drop-off of effectiveness from video. So some of the videos we talk about, like we'll talk about a brand story or a signature video that's like the signature thing that you want to put in front of somebody to tell your story. What is that? What does that video look like? And there's two ways to do video stuff. First, you have a production team that come in, they do the production stuff, and the stuff that Jeremiah does is phenomenal. He's a great storyteller. He's a high professional. There's that. But sometimes you don't have the budget for that. Like you can set up a ring light with a camera right there, and you can ask yourself those questions. Who are you? What do you do? How do you do it differently? And why should they care? But use video content to do that. Then you can use teaching content, like, yes, teach tips, ideas, concepts. Be an educator to all the people in the marketplace. Video content. Think about Q&As. We always say, most people talk about frequently asked questions. You see them on a website a lot of time. We also talk about SAQs, should ask questions. So you got to remember, if I'm going to buy a house, how many of you work with first-time buyers? Just curious. Anybody? Okay. First-time home buyers, think about it. They don't even know the questions to ask. And a lot of times, if I'm dealing with an investor who maybe has done a couple transactions, they still don't know the questions to ask. So think about what should they be asking you and do a quick video on it. For example, one of the things that an investor probably wants to know right now is, what's the first step to becoming an investor? I do a video and say, hey, this is Travis Brown with Triple E Real Estate. And today I just want to talk about the first thing, if you're considering being an investor, that you need to do. And the first thing you need to do is, did I tell them? That's what we call teaching video content. How many of you, I'm just curious, are putting out content like that? Okay, got to put content out. You got to put some content out. Because there's something that's in your head that you've experienced, that you've learned, that they don't know. And the more that you share, The more elevates you as an expert in the field, people get more familiar with you, and the more people want to work with you. So we just go through and figure out what are the types of video content that you could provide. If you just made a list of, and you can even Google this one, top real estate teaching topics. I'll give you a list of them right there, and just start knocking off videos based upon that. And I'm talking about pulling out your iPhone and just shooting those real easy. I always suggest you start with going, hey, today I want to talk about X. My name is Travis Brown with Triple E Real Estate, and if you are thinking about, and I just talk about it. Now I'm just going to give you a little tip on when you're doing that type of video. One thing that will hurt you the most is how many times you rewatch it. So my rule, this doesn't work for everybody, I don't rewatch it. If I'm doing micro content like that, I just shoot it and I put it out there. Because you know what I'm going to do? I'm like, oh, I stuttered right there. Oh, I should have said this. Or, oh, I forgot that one point. Oh, I could have made it look better. Oh, I look fat. Oh, my nose is big. Yes, my nose is big and I'm fat. If I retake it again, it's not going to change that. But here's the thing. Here's what I realized. I have some knowledge that's helpful to other people. And the question becomes, what am I going to do with that knowledge? Now, there is a place, don't get me wrong, for people to pay for your knowledge. There is a place. Typically, I got to add enough value to a point that they trust me enough to do that. Okay? But what are you doing with that knowledge? This is me making a plea to you to consider this. I heard Pastor John said this years ago. He's like, some people get all they can what they get, sit on the can and poison the rest because they have that type of mentality versus a giving mentality. And if you think, well, I'm not giving away my trade secrets. I'm not giving away. What are you doing that nobody else is doing? It's probably not the one thing. It's probably a combination of things, and that's what makes you different. So you giving away one strategy, one idea, one technique is not going to, you're not going to lose business because of it. What you'll do is you're going to gain trust. You're going to gain connection, believability. When I talked about consideration earlier, remember awareness, consideration, decision. Consideration, I just want to know if you know what you're talking about. And here's what I also think. This is just me rambling for a second. A lot of people have had a bad real estate experience. Meaning whoever they worked with didn't know what they were doing. And so in their mind, this isn't meant to be any disrespectful to any real estate agents, but they don't trust you. So how do we build trust? The more we know somebody, the more we trust them. But if I don't know you, and you're just another real estate agent with a MyBoard number, I take that opportunity to teach me something. And there's no better way to do it than video, right? Whether you have, I know Starla is either a videographer, former videographer, video talent, right? Yourself, somebody like Starla, or high produced video, but don't overthink that. When you're talking about micro content, when I say micro, meaning a topic, right? The best thing you can do is really just put out a piece, right? So here's going to be my challenge to this group, right? You got 7 days, and this is giving some time, right? I should put you on the spot. Sometimes I'll do by the end of today. No, I'm gonna give you 7 days. All right. So here's what I'm gonna do: to video one piece of content, just one. So write this number down: 317-910-7883. That's my cell phone number. Shoot your video. If you text it to me in the next 7 days, like I'm challenging to, then I'll give you a 30-minute free strategy session to jump on a call with me, to look at your brand, think about what you're doing, and give you a strategy session, okay? If you don't, you still suck, and that's fine. That's your choice. Oh, did I say that like that? No. If you don't, it's okay. But I'm challenging you to take action. The best of the best in business, success, and life, they take action. They don't just hear it and have notes full of, pages full of notes and be like, okay, I'm going to get to that. No, take action, right? See, I did that wrong. I should have said everybody has to do it by the week, and then anybody that does it like by the end of the day, then I give them the strategy session. See, missed that one. But all I want you to do is to do something to take action. So if you're trying to figure that out, I'm literally just saying just take a topic. Here's the easiest way to do this, right? Hi, my name is insert. Today I want to talk about this. Talk about this, and then tell them what you want to do next. Right? So somebody give me a topic. Give me a topic. Any topic.
First-time home buyer.
Okay. Hey, this is Travis Brown with Triple E Real Estate, and today I want to talk about being a first-time home buyer. Being a first-time home buyer can be completely overwhelming. You have no idea where to start, what to do, or how to navigate one of the most challenging decisions of your life. What I do is help you make that process so simple. All you got to do is pick the phone, call me. I'd love to walk you through that process.
Can you say that again?
Somebody had to record that process. But the formula is the same, right? Here's the formula, right? Hi, my name is.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, my name is Travis Brown from Triple E Real Estate. Second piece is, today I want to talk about first-time homebuyers. Insert topic. Third step, talk about it. And the talk about it part is like, there's so many different ways to go with that, right? You can say a million things. Don't get caught up on if it's perfect. Just get caught up on actually doing it, which is, being a first-time home, whatever you think about first-time home buyer, right? So for me, I think about being a first-time home buyer is overwhelming. It's frustrating. And sometimes you have no idea where to even start, right? Now, another strategy, but that's a pain point that I know that first-time home buyers have, right? So if you want to dissect what you see in the video, you start with a pain point, right? Frustrated, overwhelmed, don't know what to do, right? And it could be complicated. But buying a house is one of the most beautiful things you can ever do. One of great, sound financial decisions. And I love helping people do that. So I'm going to make it real easy for you. Just reach out to me, give me a call. I'll give you a what? Free strategy session. I'll give you a free consultation. I'll give you a free home buyer evaluation, whatever, right? To do that. That's simple. Look forward to seeing you. Okay? All right, so you got that challenge down. So we'll see how that works out. Okay, the second pieces of content are more graphical, right? These are the design pieces. And we always say, like, you can do all kind of graphics. You can do quotes and testimonials and process. You can do real estate marketing insights, offer pitches. You can do thought leader quotes. So many different things that you can do to add value, key phrase, add value to people in the marketplace, okay? You can write, for those of you who love to do blogs, text statements. Like, there's so many things that you can do. If you've worked with clients, client testimonial work. But all this is stuff that, remember earlier I said, either you've got to be able to do, right? You've got to be able to create at some level, or what's your other option? You got to pay somebody to do it. And there's a time in everybody's life, depending on what we're talking about, where you're like, oh, I don't have the money to pay somebody, so I'm going to have to learn how to do that. And then there comes a point in time you're like, I don't want to do that anymore. I'm going to pay somebody to do that. And we all have that no matter what level you are, and you try to figure those things out. All I'm saying is we want to put content in front of people that share that same message. And if you think about the social media, so here's a big question on social media is, what do I do to build my social media? Okay. Now, I already gave you the real two answers. I build a message, I have the right avatar, and I make a video or some type of content. That's what it is. Now, if you want a formula, we say, yep, you figure out your strategy. How many times am I going to post a week? Question people always ask me, how many times do I post a week? The real answer is how many times that you can actually add value. If you can do that 5 times a day, post 5 times a day. If you can do that once a week, do that once a week. Now, for our clients that we run their social media, we're between 5 and 7 times a week. I've gone from that all the way to, there have been times I was posting 5 and 7 times a day. Build out a social media content calendar. When we were doing so much video, I had built-in video content that all we had to do is cut it and put it out. So that made it easier for me to be able to put a lot of content out. Transcribe stuff, put it out. But if you think about the different strategies a little bit, let me just kind of walk through and give you some ideas. Number one, LinkedIn is really about B2B contacts. So one of the things you decide in your business model is, am I going straight to the consumer, right? The person wants to buy the house, or is there a business relationship out there that I make with the business relationship, and that business relationship then gives me the business, right? In your guys' world, that could be a home builder, right? I go to a home builder and I develop a relationship with a home builder, and now they let me list properties, or there's an opportunity there. Or I go to an insurance agent and I do that with insurance agent. Or I go to a financial advisor and the financial advisor lets me work with his book of business. I will tell you just a little, this is a little inside secret. Financial advisors in the state of Indiana are required to do an annual review with every one of their clients. They can do it via phone, or they can do it via person. And I don't know how COVID laws have changed that at all, but they had to do an annual review with every one of their clients. Okay. Well, one of the things that we created was a kind of something that went along with that, because we started talking to financial advisors and realizing that when they would do an annual review with their clients, they never talked about what is their number one asset for a lot of people, which is their home. The reason why they didn't talk about that is because they had no knowledge to talk about the value and what they should do. And so I went and presented to a bunch of financial advisors saying, hey, would it be okay if I connected you with one of my real estate partners? This is when I was in the mortgage space, and I don't do this now. That would do free CMAs for you for all of your clients when you do an annual review. Because the rule of 10 that NAR puts out is basically, every 10 years somebody buys or refinances their house. So that you convert that from a conversion, that's basically 10% of people. We call it the rule of 10. So that means every group of 10 people, they're doing a transaction. They may not be buying, they could be refinancing, right? But if I look at that and I have 1,000 Facebook friends, that means 100 of them are doing a transaction this year. Now, I don't want to hurt your feelings right now, but how many of those did you get last year? So when I went to financial advisors, I said, you have a book of business of 300-400 people. What if I put you in contact with a real estate agent that would do those CMAs for all those people? Now you're trusted advisor with them. Now I got to that tangent based upon the fact that with LinkedIn, that's how you network with people that already have a pond of your clients. Because see, you have two options. You can either go B2C and try to market directly to potential buyers, or you go to somebody who already has all of your avatar and you develop a relationship with them. They let you fish in their pond and help them. Now, you can't do that with a taker's mentality, because that'll repel people. I mean, people come to me all the time like, hey, I know you're well networked. Can you help me do that? Like, really? Like, I never take that approach. I always go to somebody and say, hey, I know you have a great client base, I don't want to touch somebody else's paper, but I put that little napkin over right there and I come to them and I go, how can I serve them? Hey, would it be helpful for you if I connect you with one of my real estate partners who would run CMAs for your clients? Now, when I did this, remember, I was on the mortgage side of it, so I wanted the mortgage, but I came to them going, how can I help you first? The biggest mistake people make in networking is they come like this. Can you give me something? Hold on a second. I worked really hard to create this group of people that I've worked with for years, and you just want me to just give it to you because? No, come and go, how can I serve you? So you start thinking about with LinkedIn, how do I provide value to people? And I threw out CMA because that's an easy one off the top of my head, but free consultation for their clients. You may go to somebody, I know you guys do a lot of investing. There's a lot of financial advisors right now that are cool with their clients actually investing in properties and real estate. So what if you went to them and said, hey, with a couple of different advisors, hey, any client that's even considering doing an investment, what I'll do is I'll walk them through our, I don't remember what we call it, our triple E investment strategy system, and just let them know here's a way they should consider doing that. And I'll do that with no charge, no fee, or anything like that for any of your best clients that you think would be valuable. That's how you serve people through LinkedIn. And LinkedIn, it responds really well to that. It's challenging sometimes because so many people are always coming at you and pitching you on different things, but that's a way that you can use a LinkedIn, right? You can still push out content that people that know that you're legitimate. Facebook get to be a little bit more personal. Now with Facebook, remember there's two options. One, your personal page, and then there's your business page. Your personal page and your business page, people say, well, should you combine them? Should you post to one, share to the other? Well, my first bit of recommendation from your personal brand is you shouldn't try to compartmentalize your life. This is my opinion. This is my philosophy. When you try to say, I'm gonna keep my little life over here separate, and then this is separate, and this is separate, it gets very hard to manage. Well, I've always just tried to say, like, I'm Travis Brown, if you like me or you don't. And I'll be honest with you, I'm losing business every single day I post on my personal social media because I'm talking about shit that people don't want me to talk about. And I just made a decision. I'm okay with that, right? I own my own company, and if I'm going to talk about it, if it's going to offend people, then I'll take that because the purpose for me is greater than the paycheck. That's where I am. Not everybody's there. I haven't always been at that spot. So you have to decide what level of transparency that you're willing to operate with, whether it's your personal page or your business page. But let me just explain what I mean by this is that don't think for 1 second that on my business page, I'm professional and I'm saying only these things, but I'm wilding out over here on my personal page saying all kinds of crazy stuff and getting in arguments and matches. And like those two things don't, And then you also have to understand within the confines of the company you operate with, what are you allowed to do and what parameters do they set for you as well. But your personal and your business pages, they're going to do this at some level. So from a posting perspective, if you're using ours is called Mojo Up Social platform where you load everything up and you post everything out of that. You can post to only your business pages. You can't post to your personal pages. A lot of you might have an Instagram that's actually a personal Instagram that you probably need to flip into a business Instagram. One of the big keys allows you to look at your analytics, also allows you to run ads if you want to post and push content that's out there, right? But you have to decide, what am I going to do from a posting perspective, Instagram, YouTube. Understand that YouTube is the #1 how-to search engine in the world. This is where I believe on the investing side of it, you guys could really get aggressive and put out a lot of content and create a lot of search engine optimization for free, just talking about how to invest, how to do this, how to manage properties, how to, and more how to. You can do it on the real estate side too, as well, but that's what you use YouTube for more than anything else. And remember, since YouTube and Google are connected because Google owns YouTube, right? Google is always going to recognize YouTube video search with more power or favor than they will anything else. Why? Because it's their own platform. They're going to reward you for using your YouTube stuff. So you want to think about what does that actually look like. Okay. All right, just a couple little things to think about. I'm going to just dissect a little bit about LinkedIn for a sec because I'm assuming some of you probably don't do this. A couple little things. Number 1, top left-hand corner. You got to make sure you have a customized URL. So it shouldn't say LinkedIn, -75A505723. That means you have no idea what the hell you're doing and that you need some work, okay? Here's the good news. We all started there. Every single one of us started at this spot, okay? So that's one thing that I always talk about. So see how we went from that to that right there. Second thing, if you go to your LinkedIn and it has this blue space right there, okay? What that means is you have a free billboard that you're not using. Like you just decided, hey, it's a billboard. I'm just not going to use it. I'm going to let it be blue. Use that to send some type of message. Now, what I like to do instead of just having this, which this is better than nothing, is if you have a personalized message, a tagline, a quote, put it there, right? So mine is, I love helping people achieve things they never thought possible. So that's what mine says, right? So that's a way just to clean that up a little bit and then kind of clean up a few things. But just want to give you a couple little things to think about. If you have a Facebook business page, one of the things you want to do, same thing, fix there. Make sure you have a handle. A handle is the @ sign or the / sign if you have a business page. How many of you have business pages? Okay. So this is a cleanup process, right? Let me back up to one thing with Michelle. So another big mistake is you should have a photo that is tight so that I can see eyeballs. All the research this means if I can see this is trust. That means I still don't know who you are. Okay. The research started when they started making stuffed animals stuffed animals for your kids years ago. You go home. Anybody who's parents in here? Anybody have kids? A couple of you have kids? Man, the rest of you just living life right now. Ooh. But if you go and you look at a lot of stuffed animals, if you look at animals' eyes, they're like these big, oversized eyes. And the data was that's how you get connection is through eyes. And we know that, right? Like we have good eye contact with somebody, it makes us feel differently. So just change your profile. All you got to do is zoom it in. Even if you don't love your profile picture, zoom it in. Somebody like, oh, it's too close to my face and my head, my little zit right here. Listen, call Star, she'll edit it and make it look beautiful, right? Like I'm just giving you job and work.
I have a quick question.
Yes.
How do you get rid of the numbers behind your, like, how do you?
You talking about how do you get that right there?
Yeah.
So in your profile, there's a spot that says customize URL in your extra profile. You click on that button right there. You back those out and you put your name in there. So the cool thing is if you have a name that's not a common name, my recommendation always is your first and last name. If you can have your first and last name, that helps your SEO better than anything else. But if you have a common name that somebody else is probably ahead of the game and maybe already have it, you might have to add realtor behind it or something like that and try to make them consistent. Okay. On the Facebook rebuild, I started on this right here. Same thing. Like that was Chris's over there. I don't know if you know Chris. Chris Sheloff is an agent in the Geist area. Does about $70 million with his team. But we took his stuff from just that, and we just, like this is his tagline, right? We cleaned everything up for him. About section, bio. All we wanted to do is create some consistency in the look and feel of what his brand looked like, right? So same thing happens. That URL in the top left-hand corner. You want to do the same things, okay? So I just want to show you a couple different areas. I don't have the Instagram one on here because it's actually an old PowerPoint. But on Instagram, yep, you want to have your highlights. You still want to have your same URL on there. Clean up your bio and have a call to action in it is a way to make sure that works right. Okay. I always talk about the last couple things. One is what I call the mojo factors, things to build your brand super fast. One is if you can get in front of audiences. Now, it's very difficult now in a COVID scenario, but going back to my LinkedIn approach before, just think that now maybe it wasn't LinkedIn, maybe it was an apartment complex that you could go and you could speak to all their people in their once a meeting month. Maybe you went to a company and offered the company opportunity to partner with you as a real estate agent, and so you did lunch and learns for, now this is a bad example, but I'm just like Lily. I mean, probably start with a smaller company that you can get in the door, but off the top of my head, like where you go in and once a month, you just come in, you pick a topic and you get in front of them, you talk about it. Easy way to do that. If you start building with like a financial advisor, again, kind of pre-COVID, and we'll see what happens over the next year, how this transforms, but you used to be able to go to a financial planner conference and do a whole conference for financial planners on investing in real estate and walk them through that. And so all of a sudden now you got a room full of you and 50 financial advisors that, mind you, all have 300 to 500 clients, and now you're the person of expertise sharing with them how to make their clients' life better. Just thinking strategically about how to use a speaking platform to do that. To do a podcast or vodcast, two ways to do those. One, you're doing it because you're trying to put out a lot of content, and so you're more subject matter expert. Good. So that goes back to, remember, our micro content, first-time home buyers, topical. The second thing you use them for is more from a person of influence. And I'm doing that because there are people that I want to get to, and I can have them come on our show to be able to do that. Really, because any nice thing about Indianapolis and the Midwest is we're always just so far behind trends that right now there's still not, as much as you might think, you're like, oh, well, I saw that Eric Forney has a podcast and Ryan Hergott has a podcast, and these 5 realtors have podcasts. 5 out of 7,500. Right? So don't think because you know a couple people in the industry that do, that everybody else does as well. But you can use them to interview people, bring on financial advisors, bring on CPAs, bring on people of prominence that will come on and sit down with you and to do a show. And you can also write a book, something that you can do that also creates more influence faster. So we call those the mojo factors. Last 2 things I want to hit. Now, earlier I showed you this awareness, consideration, decision. Let me just kind of walk you through the details of what that looks like. First, that little character person over there is your potential client. You got to figure out where I'm going to meet them at, which social media. When I meet them, I want to consider what I want to put in front of them. Signature videos, why videos, educational content. I gotta get people to understand who I am. Also want to drive them to make some kind of first step of value. We love an opt-in where you can give them some type of download a first-time homebuyer's checklist. All right. A lot of people will download a first-time homebuyer's checklist because they want to know what I need to do. 3 mistakes that first-time homebuyers make. I do not want to make those mistakes. Let me download that and see what those mistakes are, right? You can get more technical with more of a sales page that takes people through a process. And the last thing is this, is you want to get people in your world, well, you got to decide this, is what I want to do calls and meetings. If I want to do calls and meetings, I got to build a flow that gets people to make decision on a daily basis. Am I going to meet with you? Right? Because if you want to do 36 for 7.2 million next year, or you want to grow your business by 7.2 million, wherever your situation is, here's the thing. You got to get people to consider your business and make a decision whether they want to work with you or not. Now, the only third thing to the yes and no is really the long-term nurture. So some people are not a yes and a no today. They're just a yes and they're a no right now because they're not ready. And then we want to cultivate them over time to be able to do that. We talked about all the renters that you guys have where those could be potential buyers if we're cultivating those relationships over time, providing value and education. And all of a sudden, when there's time for them to make a move and go, yes, I want to buy a house, why would I not go buy it with the person who's been educating me for the last year? And that education may mean you shot 12 videos, 12, put out 1 video a month. But guess what? In a lot of cases, it's more than they've consumed from anybody else. And so now all of a sudden, you become that go-to person for them because you're the person that has provided that value to them. One of the biggest mistakes I think real estate agents and actually businesses make all the time is they forget this is a long-term business. Means right now, some people we're just saying, yeah, that customer that might be ready 18 months from now, I got time for them. And then when 18 months from now comes, you're struggling because you don't have the 3 people that are going to buy this month, and you just let all these other people off the hook that would have got to know you, to like you, to trust you, and then they'd be ready to buy from you. So one of my other call to action to you is going, how are you cultivating your business for October of 2021? Somebody's like, shit, Travis, I'm just trying to figure out how to get a deal for November 1st of 2020.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
Like I 100% get it, okay? I 100% get that. That's real. We do the same thing in our company. But we also got to think, if I plan to be in business next year and I don't want to be in the same situation next year that I am this year, then I got to do a little something to cultivate those relationships. And I believe that's awareness, consideration, decision in the way that you do the things that you're doing, right? When you get into your brand management, you got to build a content calendar, and yes, you got to be able to put out content, and you've got to be able to create digital, value and awareness, whether it's your listings or buyers. You got to track that. You have to do that, okay? And you're going to do that organically. You're going to run some paid stuff behind that to do that. But ultimately, you've got to get your message in front of people. If I put you on the spot, and I can't remember your first name again, it was Yvette. If I put you on the spot, Yvette, and I said, okay, Yvette, how many people do we think this? I'm not asking you. You don't have to answer this, right? How many people do we think today are sitting here thinking, am I going to work with Yvette or not? How many people are thinking this month, man, I got to choose a realtor. Yvette's in the running. The answer for all of us is not enough. And that's what this whole thing is about. Building an awareness, a consideration, decision campaign that get people in a situation that they're going to start making decisions on whether or not they're working with you. And until you're doing that, you're always going to struggle with sales and business development. So all of this whole brand thing, it really comes along and you got to ask yourself the question. 1, do I have a message, a story, a positioning, a brand? Or do I have that? Do I have that that's going to make sense and be compelling to a right avatar? Okay. And am I putting it out consistently in front of them over and over and over in a way that's going to allow them to say, yes, I want to work with you? That's it. That's it. So 3 questions is, do I have a message? And I should say, do I have a clear message? Do I know who that message is for? And am I putting it in front of them on a consistent basis every single day, week, and month? If the answer is yes, yes, and yes, you're winning. And if it's no, then you got work to do. Okay. So I'm going to stop right there and then kind of open it up to Q&As. So anything that I said that here's my challenge. Anything you think that I said today doesn't work in your business, then I challenge you to put that on the table and ask me. If there's something that was unclear and you're like, yeah, okay, how can I get some more details of that? I'm glad to go deep and explain any of that. I like to kind of give it to you in a way that you can start consuming. If you're still trying to take notes on anything, let me know. And I'll stand here and ask questions until you guys are done.
So I have a question. I think that one of my biggest challenges is really trying to put what I do to words to make it seem different, because I guess in my mind I feel like I do a great job, but isn't everybody supposed to do it this way? You know, I mean, I hear from people that you do a really good job. I really like, you know, I really felt comfortable and all of that, but I'm like, shouldn't all really, like, why get in this business if you're not getting it to be of service to your client? So how am I doing it in a different way than other agents?
Okay. Good question. So there's two answers to this that I want you to think about. One is so elementary that I just love it, and that is, let's say there's 10 agents, right? And all 10 of them should be doing it, okay? How many of those 10 do you think are doing it? I'm asking you.
I would think over half.
Okay, so you think 50% of the agents are doing a good job with what they're doing?
I want to give people the benefit of the doubt.
Okay. No, that's good. Okay. Now, of those 5 out of 10 people, how many of those people you think are doing a good job marketing that they do a good job?
Now that part probably not as much.
So let's just say 60% because it's easier for my numbers, right? So now we got 3 out of every 10 agents are actually putting their message in front of people. So if you do nothing else than just consistently put your message in front of people, you start winning. Just solely based upon that, right? You don't have to overthink that. You just say, here's what I do. I'm gonna share with people what I do. So that's number one. The most basic answer is just going, if you just share what you do well, you're outrunning most agents if you do it consistently for 1 year. Okay, number one. Number two is people got in business for a lot of different reasons, but most of them was about money. And then what happens is people go, I don't know how to do it. I don't have the training development to do it at the highest level. So here's what, as a consumer, the conclusion I often come to is an agent is an agent is an agent. I assume they're all really good. I assume they all know how to pick up the phone and call the other realtor to do that. I understand they all know how to write the best, most aggressive offer that might be highest and best that gets my offer seen. I assume that they do that, but I've been in the industry long enough to know that's not accurate. People don't always know that. Now, here's what I also see is that if you're a top producing agent that you do care about those things, you flock or you watch other great people that do it. But remember, at last count, MyBor had about 7,500 real estate agents. 7,500 real estate agents, of which, I forget, what was the number I said? Hold on, I want to see this. I'll go all the way back to my beginning slide. And I said, to be in the top.
Oh, gosh, you need to have 7.2 million, 36
Yeah, I know that number. Oh, hold on. Top 5%. I thought I had so on another one of my charts, I actually went through that top 5%, and I think it was like, out of 7,500, that means you're the top 5%, you're in the top 100 agents at that level. So I guess what I'm saying is I appreciate you wanting to give people the credit for doing it the right way. What I'm telling you is a lot more people don't know how to do it, don't know how to fulfill it. In their heart, they might have the best interest in their client, but they don't really know how to navigate the deal and put it together the right way to get it done. And there really is a difference between an average agent and a good agent. The problem is as a consumer, right? I don't know the difference. I don't know the difference. I have no idea. There's not really a mechanism. The only mechanism we have right now to evaluate an agent is what?
Customer reviews. How many deals that they've done.
Right there. I mean, to some degree, there's some reviews, but what I'm saying is the number one way that we do it, and here's what you see top agents do. What do they talk about? How much volume they did. how many units they did. Because that's the only measuring stick that we utilize to really talk about how good we are or we are not. Not the value that we add. Not truly a customer client talking about the process and how much they loved working with you and what you did to change their life. That's missed. Long-winded answer to say, so I believe that if you will take what you do well and in its most basic form, you start putting that information out that's readily available for people to consume, you start winning because not enough people are doing it. I shouldn't say nobody else. Not enough people are actually doing it. So just know that if you start putting out consistent content about what you know and your experience, you will start to see people, wanting to tune in to learn to understand you. And yes, you're going to have other real estate agents doing the same thing. And you're going to look on your page one day and you're like, why are all these other agents, watching my stuff and copying my stuff and trying to, don't worry about that. You do what you do well and share that with other people, and you're going to start seeing people really connect and engage with you at a higher level. Yes.
No, I'm good.
Oh, I thought you had a question.
No,
Well, surely you got a question. All right, so this is the deal. We're not leaving until everybody asks one question. It's kind of hot up in here too. And you didn't know this, but I don't eat that kind of food because it gives me gag reflexes. So I won't go into a restaurant that has that type of food because of the smell. I almost kept my mask on. I had to go outside a few times because I was having some moments,
You had Taco Bell. You like Taco Bell.
I'd have been up in here like
Yeah.
Taco Tuesday. All right, no, seriously, we're not leaving until everybody asks a question. So think about your question. All right, now let me do. I'm gonna let y'all talk easy, okay? I like every person to share one thing that they learned that they're going to do from today. Yes.
Video.
Oh, sorry.
I'm going to make a video for my wife.
Awesome. Can I help you?
Yes.
Okay. Who you are.
Hold on.
So everybody else is listening. Here's the simple formula.
Who I am.
Who you are, what you do. These are the 4 questions you're going to ask. Who you are, what you do, how you do it differently, or what is your way, your system, your process, and why is it important for you to do it?
Thank you.
So when we do these videos, and I'm just going to give you a little clue right here. So literally, if we were doing this video, we'd be on this side, and Jeremiah would be right here on the camera right here, and I'd be sitting here like this, just eyeballs like this. Actually, you would just stand right here real quick, just show her when you go to set it up for yourself, right? It'll literally be like this, like you're having a conversation with me, and I'd say, all right, so first of all, tell me who you are and what you do. And that's how we start. Go ahead.
I'm not ready.
So, but that's how we do it right there. So you can do it with the ring light. You can do it with the phone, but literally it's just set somebody right there and have them just ask you those questions. Start with, so who you are and what do you do? So tell me, how do you do it? And, most importantly, why is this important to you? And that's how we actually start doing live videos. Okay.
Thank you.
No problem. Yes.
Okay, what would you recommend for someone who is transitioning from one career into real estate and marketing themselves in the position where they're balancing working full time and doing real estate?
Yeah.
Trying to balance it.
Yeah, that's a great question. So one of the things I'll put out there is what you're going to struggle with initially is getting people to believe you know what you're talking about. Okay. So when you are splitting jobs, like, I'm a nurse over here and I'm trying to be a real estate agent. People are like, are you a nurse or a real estate agent? And psychologically I go, you can't be as good as anybody else if you're not full time. Right. And there's some truth to that. Right. If I'm putting 40 hours in it and you're putting 10, I should be able to beat you if we're equally as talented. Okay. So if I have to then break that barrier, and I know that's one of the problems that people have when they doubt my ability, then I got to go through that process, right? I got to create some awareness, right? Talking about who I am, what I do, and how I do it. Then I got to come back with proving to people that I know what I'm talking about. So what I would do is I would actually break down the entire home buying process, right? From getting financing to in pre-approvals to writing an offer to finding a house to getting set up on searches. I'd go down through all those pieces, pick 10 things, right? And then I would get on camera and I would teach every single one of them. And then I would put that video out. Because here's what I need people to start to change their mindset is that I'm knowledgeable and I know what I'm talking about, even though I'm splitting time, maybe doing something else in that transition. Because that's my biggest concern is like, you're going to have people, in my opinion, that you've known for 25 years. They're going to use another realtor. And you're going to be like, are you kidding me? Didn't you see somewhere in my bio or somewhere in my Facebook profile that I said that I'm now a real estate agent? And when you roll up on them one day, they're gonna be like, "Oh, girl, I saw you started, do your real estate thing. It's cool. You're kind of doing it on part time, like it's your little hobby." That's how they're gonna treat you until you show them that's different, right? Now, let me just sidebar. I'm gonna answer your question. I'm gonna sidebar that. The other question that happen to people is people use somebody else and they say, "Well, I didn't really want to mix." What do they say?
Business and personal.
Okay, you want me to translate that to you? That means they don't trust you. They don't trust you. Well, I get that. That's on the surface. But watch this, okay? If my son or daughter needs surgery on their brain, and I know my friend Ivana over here, she's a brain surgeon. You think I'm not going to call her because I'm like, well, I don't want them to know my kid's going through some stuff. Yeah. No, what do? Hold on a second. My kid's life's on the line, and I need to go to somebody I trust. So what do? Then I call the person I. Mm-hmm. But right now, what I'm really saying is I don't know. And here's what I believe this wholeheartedly. I'm saying we're friends. If we do business, you screw it up, I'm mad, it blows up, we're not friends anymore, it's not worth it. Now, you in the real estate business are going, hold on a second. If you use somebody else, we're no longer friends. Yeah. Our relationship is over.
We're not real.
This ain't happening. So, awareness, consideration, decision is also, it's also, think about this, you got to get people to know and like you. They got to trust you, so they will try you. And if they're not trying you, it's because they don't trust you. Now, our kids go to the same school, we're in the same PTO, we're on the same soccer thing. I'll let you pick my kid up in the carpool line. I trust you with that because I know you that way. I don't know you as a real estate agent, so I don't know if you're knowledgeable enough for me to put my $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 in your hands. So how do I fix that? Man, if they see you on there talking about this part, teaching, educating, all of a sudden they're like, dang, sister girl, she know what she's doing over there. Okay, she got a little real estate thing going on. Like, I start to change my mindset. Why? Because you took what was in your head, put it in a video, and convinced me.
So you feel like the video is obviously more effective than just posting out there that's educational or that speaks to a specific.
So let me say it this way. Now, you can put graphical stuff. Graphics have a place, but let me just say this, okay? And I'm just going to go here. This is me. But if said person in leadership in America wrote down on a document that they were going to do something different than they had in the last 4 years, versus you could sit face to face and they could tell you, listen, I messed it up and I'm sorry and I completely missed the whole thing and here's what I'm going to do for the next 4 years. Telling you directly, you believe this more than you would believe this. Now, I still don't believe this from some people, right? But my point to that is we would still believe this more because it's video and it's personal. Video will always outperform that.
And they know if you're saying it, they hear you saying it, they're watching you say it. So those are your words. Even if you literally got the words from a magazine article, they don't know. But if they have to read it, they don't know if they're your words or not. You just copied and pasted. But if you said it, it came from your brain. So you know it.
100%.
And then you have to make sure that you're confident because I built this company working a full-time job. So it can be done.
Yeah. No, I think for me, I struggled with the whole video thing too. Because you guys know I'm not a big social media person. So the idea of doing a video was just like, oh
I'm
my
like
God.
trying to take 18.
Yeah, I didn't say
We will. I did. I did a testimonial video for my former like principal and coach who's running for school board up in Lafayette area, and it took me 4 takes because I wanted to get it right for him, not for me. When I'm doing it for me, like that, I'm okay. I'm okay with like good is good enough, and I know that, right? And I know that I'm going to fight the temptation to try to make it perfect, which is not, right? It's just most likely it's not. If you have a whole production team in there and everybody's evaluating it, that's different. Like when we do a brand video, yes, we're not going to let it not be that. Like we're definitely not going to let it not be that. But when you're doing micro and it's done on your phone, there's an element that's okay, right? It is okay. Here's how you ought to think about it. Do videos in the same format that you're okay with people seeing you in live, right? So there was a point when I used to speak, I'm suited up or whatever, then I got a jacket, and now I got to the point where this is how I show up to meetings and strategy sessions, and this is my uniform, right? So I'm comfortable in this now, right? I've evolved into that. This is who you are. This is what you get. Because here's what I want. I want you guys, if you guys go check down, start watching my video footage, like, oh, see if this dude is legit, right? You don't completely disconnect between what you're seeing on video and what you see like this in live, right? I want it to be the same all the time, all the way across lines. And when you do that, you get more comfortable doing video and being in front of the camera because it's just naturally what you're saying and you're doing.
How long did it take you to get there?
To do what?
To get there with that.
I would say I'm a little bit different because I spent 10 years speaking as a motivational speaker, traveling the country doing that. So I had a lot more development in that area. But I will say I take people all the time that go from have never shot a video, like maybe like you have not shot, I'm not doing it. You can't make me, right? And you can't, but I'm saying I'm trying to influence you to make these decisions that are in the best interest of your business. And you start doing them, I think you'll start seeing a huge difference in 3, 6, 9 months. You'll look back and you'll be like, oh God, I put that out like that. Like we're doing that right now. We're looking at video footage that we did last year, like of me doing speaking and strategy sessions, and I'm like, wow, But here's the thing: when I was putting it out then, it was still just as good or better than everybody else's. That's the lesson you have to really learn: is just start putting it out. All right, so
we small, like short, like you know what I mean.
one to 2 minutes max, like 1 to 2 minutes max.
On YouTube or on social media?
On well.
What do you recommend for YouTube?
YouTube still responds well for long form video, so we could pull a 10-minute clip of this and put that on YouTube. There's still a place for there's still you're still fine to do micro content, and that's kind of what I'm talking about for today. You can still do that micro content from 1 minute to 3 minutes, 2 minutes in that area. Really, the answer they always say is how long can you keep people engaged? I'm pretty good, and we start seeing drop off numbers. Minute and a half, my people start dropping off. That's just how people's minds are. So 1 minute, which then nice thing about 1 minute is then you move it to the gram and you're still fine and you're not changing things and you can use the same content repurposed. So 1 minute is really, really good because like, oh, that's a good soundbite. Because here's also what I think, right? But you give me a 1 minute video that has some good stuff in it. Next time I see your video, it's worth the 1 minute watch. If I have to watch your stuff for 3 minutes and it's just not great, I'm frustrated. Next time I'm like, swipe past. Because I don't want to waste 3 minutes of my time. But a minute, like, oh, that's a good little nugget. Okay, got that. Move on. Got that. All right, remember, we're not leaving until we get these questions done.
Please on the background also.
I mean, you asked your question, so you're good.
I'm good. I actually have to go back to work, so.
And Travis, that is my transaction coordinator. She's not agent, so she doesn't have.
Nope. No, you see her? You see her? You gotta have a question. Somebody might help.
So I have a question.
Yes.
So this is all very informative, great. So like, how do you make my life easier? Like, do we set up an appointment with you for you to help us? Will you do it for us? Like what? I mean, it's do?
So the first step for you
Uh-huh.
is shoot your video, send it to me,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'll give you a free strategy session to kind of explain where you are, understand where are your business. I mean, to have our company run your stuff for you is not inexpensive.
I mean, I understand.
It's expensive. What I do think you can do is you can take the principles and start to implement them at a reasonable level now by yourself by just putting stuff out there.
Mm-hmm. And then like for the branding and stuff, what if you have no idea? Like, I mean, I've heard people talk about branding and visions and stuff, but you just don't know where to start. So, like, will you help?
What's
I mean,
that?
I don't
I
know.
got a question now. Just listen
Okay.
to her.
Okay.
Yeah, like I mean.
So here's something I can do. So I have a course.
Mm-hmm.
I have a 3-hour personal brand mojo course. I walk you through that brand blueprint and take you all the way through that. I will reach out. It's I think we charge. I think it's $497 for it, $500 for it right there. I'll get with you on if you have enough people that are interested in it to let you know, just to say instead of charging everybody $500, a one-time $1,000, and you can have your whole entire office go through or something like that, right? If you guys are interested in that, that would be a way to easily kind of say everybody can go through that process at your own time, watch, write down the stuff. I take you through the same 40-page blueprint that we just did with Triple E. And you can read and watch it. That's my best recommendation for people that are trying to slowly, gradually try to figure that out. So that would be my solution. That might be affordable for massive people to be able to do something like that. Starla?
So I think I have a question. So I do almost everything here. You know, I do the marketing aspect of social media, but I also do like video and photography too in my own business. So how can I blend that like in my branding? Like, what would you recommend?
So we're talking about not you as the employee of Triple E, more so as your business of photography and some videographer work.
Yeah, website design.
And website design. So first of all, I would tell you the hardest thing that we had to go through was getting some work to show people of what we've done. So that's the first thing I'd say. What can you show? What can you show me? Second thing is going, do you want to go, hey, I'm going to put myself at a price point that I can help an individual agent, right? Because individual agent that goes, man, I got $500 to spend on doing a video versus hiring us to do it at $5,000, right? And you go, man, because it's a side hustle for me at this point in time, I can do those Y videos. I can edit them, set it up, and create that. So, man, all I got to do is create the template going, here's who I am. Here's what I do. Here's how I do it differently. Watch. Now, let me just insert. Because I have a background of working in real estate and running an operation and working with 15, 20 agents on a consistent basis, I know that you have a struggle. Watch this. And I know you can't hire a big marketing agency like Mojo Up to do everything because you can't afford that. So what I've done for you is created a system that allows you to have me shoot your Y video for an affordable price of only $500, and I'll give it to you. I'm gonna edit, and make it ready, available for you to do that. Right? Same thing. You got to just take all of that stuff and think through it. One of the things I would tell you to do, since obviously you went with the process with us as brand blueprint, I take that brand blueprint and I start going through my own personal messaging of what I want that to be in all those same areas. I would also, for those in here, I want to retract something, not retract. I want to clarify something I said earlier. I believe all of your social media has to look professional, but I highly recommend you pick one lane based upon where your avatar is going to be, and that's where you really work deep to do that. So, for example, your Facebook, I know your Instagram, you said your Facebook still has to look professional. Your LinkedIn has to be professional. YouTube has to be professional, but you can just work and operate to drive business and engagement through your Instagram. That's okay. Okay. One of the big mistakes is I'm trying to run all these accounts and run all this stuff at the corporate level. You need to, right, corporately, but on an individual agent level, really owning one of them is something that you definitely can do. Okay. So I'm gonna give you a question and a challenge all in one. All right. So the question that I needed to hear from you was, as a listing coordinator, what topics could I provide to my agent that would help them teach people to do this process better? So the answer to that is, you ought to talk about what is a listing coordinator and why is she valuable to the whole entire process. So one of the things we haven't really got through is we do these team, our team spotlights, and Starla, I'll just transparently I'll say this is going. I hope at some point in time Tripoli hires us to give you the footprint of how we do all the video landscape stuff that we do, and that means the brand video. That means the team spotlights and how we do the team spotlights. Jeremiah crushes those things, but that's a valuable piece for her. Well, hold on, let me say, she's valuable to your business, right? But you're not leveraging how valuable she is to your business to other people. They don't know why she's valuable. They assume, matter of fact, everybody has one of them. And everybody has the same now. They don't. Until you take that knowledge and say, here's why is a transaction coordinator. Here's why a transaction coordinator is so important, because when your agent's doing X, Y, and Z, the transaction coordinator is making sure that all the I's are dotted and T's are crossed, and that you make sure you close on time. There's a value right there. Right now, the potential consumer doesn't know her value. So that's what you'd want to do like that. And then also just break down all the things that you do. And then sit down and shoot some video, micro content around what she's doing, how she's doing it. And from a business perspective, whoever that young lady is right there and whatever she does, like there's a value proposition that will be good for people to know, globally, and why that makes your guys' business run better, smoother, and so on. So it's just about thinking about all the usable content that you could create to further people knowing who you are and what you do and why they should choose you. So, all right, I think that's everybody.
Yes.
All right.